Hello, everyone. It's Dina, and I am back with Jolina Karen, and we are talking about her part of this Scars to Stars anthology project coming up, and that we will be launching it on February 22nd. And I'll give you some more details about that at the end of the book. So, welcome, Jolina, and I hope that you can share a little bit about your chapter so the audience will get excited about what they can read.
Thanks, Dina, and thanks so much for having me be part of this. The synchronicity of it was just perfect. As you know, I changed the topic of my chapter in the 11th hour, maybe the 10 till midnight hour, as the deadline for it was just a few days after I almost died from COVID viral pneumonia. And it makes me a little emotional to even say that out loud. But I'm so deeply, deeply grateful for that experience and having the deadline of this chapter somehow. I don't quite know how I did it, but I actually managed to write some of the story of my experience in time for this book and then link it to some of the teachings that were already written. So the chapter was about having COVID, having it blow up into viral pneumonia and fighting to breathe for 7 days at home with not much more than some homeopathic remedies, some breathing guidance from a doctor friend of mine, and a cough that was relentless. It would not stop at all. But the lessons that I learned from this, and I'm a spiritual teacher. I'm very, very much grounded in the belief that everything is happening for us, not to us. And if we can turn towards our struggles and our fear, there is so much wisdom waiting for us when we know how to unfurl that fear and the struggle that's sitting there. There's so much wisdom that is ultimately there to guide us back into deep self-awareness and authentic self-love. So with my experience with COVID, one of the main questions I was asking was, what is the spiritual benefit of this crisis that we're all facing? And one of the first lessons that came from it was that whatever this is and wherever it's come from, underneath it all, it's coming from our collective unconscious desire, the collective unconscious desire of humanity to move into right relationship with life and really be free as sovereign beings, out of a sort of enslaved mentality that we've been living with as a humanity. And the enslaver of us is fear. A second big insight that really popped up was, and I didn't expect this, was to see that fear, this thing that cuts off our breath and captures our essence, and keeps us living from here up in a sort of transactional relationship in which we have this sort of underlying feeling of, if I just produce enough value, if I'm just good enough, or I'm just improve myself in just the right way, then maybe I can be free. Maybe I can breathe. Maybe I can be seen as worthy of love. That's our typical human story. And part of what COVID is here to do, one, it's here to stop us from breathing. And so the very best thing we can do is do exactly the opposite. Breathe in life and breathe in joy and singing and laughter and connection and companionship. Companionship is just so important. And the second thing is to change our relationship with fear and learn how to turn towards it with curiosity, because what I saw was wrapped tight within that tight fist of fear is actually our deep, deep, deep yearning desires that when we connect with and we have that moment of, I want that, breath drops in. And underneath that is essence. So when we're breathing all the way through, and my gosh, I have never breathed like I'm breathing now. I've never been able to breathe all the way through to the root and beyond the way that I'm breathing now. But when we have those moments of, I want that inspired desire. Breath drops in and we connect with essence. And I truly believe that COVID is here to get us breathing in life, dropping under the breath, and actually expanding essence, which is something that I don't know that humanity has ever really learned to master. So we have an unprecedented opportunity in front of us now. And I'm so grateful for this experience. And I just can't wait to share more of the how to collapse fear, how to collapse story, how to expand essence. So your book, this anthology, oh my gosh, what a godsend. I am so grateful to be part of it. It forced me to actually write some of the story and put some of the insights into words so that they could be shared. And I'm so grateful to you and what you were doing.
Thank you, Jolina. I'm so happy to hear what you shared because I know what you normally talk about. And when you changed the story, I didn't even know you were sick at first, and then I was worried about you. But
Rightly so.
I'm glad to hear you're better and what came out of that experience
Mm,
because this whole book is about overcoming all kinds of things like this, and how do we get through it, and how do we overcome it, and what do we learn from it, and how can we
mhm.
be better people and better support for other people and all of that, going forward. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Absolutely.
So, could you also share a little about? I mean, you did talk a little bit about writing this, but what this project kind of means to you on a whole. And I don't know if you've gotten to connect with other authors because I know you've been sick, but I think you know a few of them.
Mhm.
And what kind of your experience or overall perception is of this project and what it will do for other people.
Um, yes, and I'm sorry, I haven't connected with a whole lot of the other authors. It's been a 3-week process getting to where I could be oxygen independent and breathing freely on my own.
Mhm.
Um, so I've missed some of the connecting that's gone on, but I think this book is so timely. I really, really do. There is so much struggle going on in the world right now. I think the isolation, the stresses, everything that's happened over the last 2 years has really pushed a lot of people to the brink. There's been so much loss. Um, so to have a guide and to hear other people's stories that we can relate to is, I think, absolutely invaluable. I think one of the hardest things is to feel alone in your suffering, in your struggle. Um, I certainly know with this latest experience of mine, I could not have made it through. I would not have made it through if it hadn't been for the constant companionship from people around me, but most importantly from this doctor friend of mine in London who is like a soulmate. Um, so that connection is so important, and hearing other people's stories, even if it's through a book. Um, and I know with your authors, all of them are going to be available for conversation, for connection at some point. So I think this book is incredibly timely. I think the stories that I've scanned so far, of what I've seen, are beautiful. They're inspiring, and as I said, I'm just so grateful to have been invited to be part of it.
Well, thank you. I'm excited to have you as part of it. I couldn't sleep the other night. I was reading through the final PDF, working on edits, and I mean, I've personally heard these stories from each one of these people and know their story and know them, and I'm reading it and it still deeply affects me.
Mm,
Like it's crazy. I know that I'm an empath on some level, so that is something that, you know, I can be around somebody that's upset and not even know what's going on, and I am in tears and
mhm,
I don't understand it. So I already have those kinds of, feelings all the time.
mhm,
But it's just, you think when you've heard this story, I know it, but you read it again and it's like you're hearing it for the first time and it's crazy. Um, but it's because people are so vulnerable and authentic in telling that they're, they're telling things that are very personal and
mhm,
very, um, not something people share at a cocktail party, like they're talking to you heart to heart about what they've been through.
Mm.
And it is in order to help someone else in the same situation understand that they're not alone, which is what you
Right.
said. There's
Mhm.
our whole purpose. Because when people feel alone, they don't feel appreciated, they don't feel they matter, they don't feel enough, they don't feel worthy, and that's where suicide comes from, and
Mhm.
that's my whole mission in the world, as most of you listening probably know, but the Realize Foundation is all about suicide prevention, and my theory is that, all the thousands of organizations that have been doing suicide prevention for decades are all doing great work, but it is not reducing the statistics. And
Mm.
in order to reduce the statistics, we have to do something different. And my theory is that conversation and community and personal story is what is going to change it. And so that is what this book is all about. All of the money of this book is going to the foundation for us to tackle that very issue. So I hope you will, those of you listening, will join us for our book launch. Where we're going to have a virtual event on February 22nd at 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And it will probably be about an hour and a half. I'm not sure yet. But it won't be an all day thing. I know time, people always want to know how much time, how much time. Um, and so I am going to post the Eventbrite link under this video, and you will be able to register for free and join us for that event. Um, and Jolina, do you have any last words for the audience?
Just what you said, community connection and story. And if I could add a nuance, unraveling our stories, even the desire to take one's life at some level is a desire to kill off the story that we're stuck in.
Mhm.
So I hope that lands and
Wow.
expands what you just said. And thank you so much for doing what you're doing.
That was very impactful to me because it took me 50 years to realize that all the crap that I've gone through in my life is for this purpose. And this
Mhm.
is the purpose I was put on earth for. And I think, a lot of times throughout our life, we don't understand what is our purpose? Why are we here? What are we supposed to do with our lives? And some of us, like me, it was all about business and work and achievement and promotions. And that was my whole career. And now I'm realizing that all of that experience is invaluable to what I'm doing now, but that wasn't why I'm here. And now I finally figured out why I'm here and what God's plan is for me.
Mhm.
And that is to help others realize that they have purpose and they're
Mhm.
not alone. And
Absolutely.
so, yeah, thank you for that.
Mm.
So, everyone, I'm going to take sorry, I'm trying to do two things. I'm not good at being technical and speaking at the same time. But anyway, I'm going to put up this book launch graphic for you guys and take us out of the way so you can see it and register for the book launch, because we're going to have lots of fun and you're going to hear lots of heartfelt, authentic stories at the same time. So we hope you join us and we hope to see you there. Thank you, Jolina.
Thank you.